Whole wheat is catching a big hoo-ha, as it should. I really believe that this is a grain that God has given us to sustain us in life and give us a lot of the nutrients that we need. And it is so sad that we have strayed so far from the normal sourdough whole wheat process to where we are kind of all really unfamiliar with how to bake bread with whole wheat that actually tastes good, and using the ancient method of sourdough with all of that. Now, I myself am still experimenting with the whole thing, and I would not say that I have it perfectly down. And I think it's because we're all comparing with these beautiful fluffy sourdough loaves baked with white flour. It just doesn't compare. This is a totally different process. And I hope to share more about that in another video, and I'll link it here if it comes out before this one. But this video is primarily about how to actually mill your own flour. And so I'm going to talk to you about flour mills, where to get your grains, how to actually mill the flour, and then a little bit about how to use it, the temperature of it, and so on. So let's get into it. So first off, what kind of flour mill should you get? Well, this is totally dependent on what you can get, because I would say any mill is better than no mill. The benefits of freshly milled flour is so big, which I should do another video about, that it doesn't matter what kind of grain mill you can get. Get one, even if you have to stand there and mill it with your own hand as opposed to having an automatic. Whatever you can afford, whatever you can get your hands on, it is totally worth getting. Now, sure, it is easier to have the electronics do a lot of the work for you. And so yes, if you can get an automatic one, of course, that'll save you a lot of time and effort. The nice thing about automatic ones that I'm not certain about the hand milled ones, the manual ones, is that you can set a setting to how fine the flour should be grinded. Let's see if that actually is like that in hand mills. Does a flour hand mill have settings? Let's see. Okay, yes, a hand flour mill has settings to adjust the fineness of the grind. Okay, so I'm incorrect about that. So as long as you can set the settings, that's great. So there's a cheaper option for you, you're just working harder. Okay, editor Natasha here. I recently spoke to my friend on the phone who said that she uses her Vitamix to mix her grains. Now, I don't have experience with this, but she seemingly has no issues. So you could even try using your Vitamix and seeing if you can mill your grains that way, and then you also don't need to even buy an expensive grain mill, but rather just use what you already have in your kitchen. So that's my answer. Get any mill that you can get your hands on and get milling at home. The reason why this is so important, and I should just mention it quickly here, is because you want to be using the freshly ground flour within about they say 48 hours, I've read in a book, but I don't know, some scientists apparently tested it and said 24 hours. Said 24 hours. I just have a toddler playing over here, so if we're hearing lots of sounds, I hope this microphone is doing a good enough job to relay the information that I really want to convey to you. So yes, flour is super important to mill at home and to be used within 24 hours if you can, because within 24 hours those nutrients start to evaporate and you're losing the benefits as time progresses. And so you want to basically mill it, use it. That's very important, and so get any mill that you can get your hands on, okay? Then you need to buy some grains. The way that I have found grains these days is just by buying it in bulk supply from an online supplier. We live in Canada, and I have found a supplier out of Alberta and also an online organics supplier. And so I'll link them in the description box below, but a lot of you might be in a different country, so I would just Google wheat berries in my area or wheat berries in bulk and see what you can come up with. Organic is always nice so that the plants weren't sprayed with all kinds of gross toxins. But I think the way that the wheats grow, it's kind of shelled into another husk or whatever. So you might not be in such bad water if you don't get organic. You'll most likely get it in a bag, 10 kilograms, 20 kilograms, like a giant sack. This is great because it stores for a long time and you're using it fresh as you need it, so it doesn't really go bad. Like, I think it was meant to be put up for many years. Like, I mean, think Bible times. Joseph was like gathering food into big silos and barns. Maybe it wasn't silos. I don't know exactly where they stored them, but they were gathering food for a long period of time, and I would definitely bet that there was wheat in there. So I think it can hold at least 7 years is what I'm gonna bank on. And I don't think we're ever gonna store it for 7 years because we eat a lot of bread. Moving on. So now actually milling. We have a mill that somebody gifted to us, which is so nice. It's like God knew that I needed to go on this journey. So somebody who used to mill their own flour gave us their grain mill because they're no longer doing that. I don't even think you can buy this anymore. I'll link it below if I can find it. I think I've tried before. Maybe they have it up again. But it's a stone mill, which is super nice. We're fortunate. But I'll link some other mills that I've heard people talk about, like Lisa on Farmhouse on Boone advocates for her mock mill. I think is very nice. There's also Nutrimill, things like that. So I'll link some stuff below if you're interested in buying one. I've also heard of people buying them on Facebook Marketplace, although now that this is catching some excitement, I don't think that's gonna be so possible. So to get to the actual milling part, I just remove the lid and pour my grains in at the top. Put a bucket underneath the spout. My son's just drinking water. Love that. Okay.
I'm busy.
I just put a bucket underneath the spout, and then as the grains mill through the machine, it spits out the flour at the bottom. And so it's really that simple if you're using an automatic mill. Now I wish I had a hand mill to show you an example of what that would look like, but I've seen that it's basically you clip it to your table, pour in the grains at the top, I think 1 cup at a time, and you just kind of swirl it around and grind the wheat that way and catch it in a bowl at the bottom. Like how much can you grain at once? I just pour it in till the bucket at the top is full. I mean, some people just do a cup at a time or whatever. And then your flour is ready to use. I'll show you some close-ups of what some wheat looks like. I've got a soft white berry, a hard red berry, and some kamut, which somebody gave me a sampling of. So I've got 3 different kinds to show you here. And then you can see what it looks like when it comes out of the mill, all milled up. You can clearly see in the different colors. And if you really look closely, what you might not see here is the different textures. So this is great, really gold to be using right now to get baking and making bread. Now there's a whole host of things that go into using this flour for bread, especially with sourdough. Like it is a mission, but it is doable. It just looks a little bit different. It's not as fluffy, and I mean it tastes whole wheaty for sure. Like it's, you know, a little more dense, not as many pockets of air or what holes, air holes. Yeah, so it is different, but I mean, I just don't really see why we want to continue using white flour from the store. That has basically removed all of the nutrients of this grain and then fortified it with other vitamins and minerals, I guess. I don't know, I never know. I just don't see why anybody wants to continue doing that. And so we really ought to figure this out. And if you were wondering how to mill your own flour at home, I hope that you now just have seen a walkthrough. It's very simple. And good luck on your journey getting a mill if you haven't found one yet. But you're probably watching this because you did, so congratulations and happy milling. Oh, did you get it out? And then check out for my other video about how to make sourdough bread with some freshly milled flour. I guess wheat berries, freshly milled wheat berries. And thank you for watching if you made it to the end of this and tolerating a bit of a toddler here in all of the audio. Until the next video, I'll see you again. Bye.